Um, and Jeremy, I emailed you again the hub posts. So
Oh,
we'll have the hub posts in the same email. You have the hub posts from July 5th, the meeting that we didn't have, and then the hub posts for this meeting.
um, okay. So we didn't do those posts from
No,
July
because we
5th.
didn't have a meeting.
I see. Okay. Let me get those back in there.
So we'll have a lot of posts to talk about.
Wow. Okay. Here, we're gonna get started then. It's just us, but John will be coming back shortly, and we have some other things to talk about. So let's just get through these posts first. About a second. I just need to reorganize some windows here. Okay. Uh, Xavier, iPhone. To help iPhone owners to join or build the open source Kinetics project. Kinetics. Are you familiar with that, Ian?
I'm not.
Okay, I'm looking
Looks
for
cool though.
yeah, looking for a developer be willing to build an application similar to the Android app allowing you to drive a Kinetics hand. Do you think he's talking about a kinetic hand?
Yeah, probably with steppers. It looks like the
Okay,
kinetic architecture with steppers or like servos.
got it. Okay. Should not take more than a few days of work. Famous last words. Needs to be open source, Creative Commons, share alike, non-commercial license. All right, so he's looking for a development partner. Willing to send you a free specific electronic board equipped with its components and up-to-date firmware for testing. Okay. All right, so he's basically looking for a development partner to help him build this app. Oh, he
Cool
says
hackathon project. I would connect them over to dev posts, see if they
well,
can
he's
find.
he's saying actually that he's already selected the very best among 713
Wow.
candidates. So apparently he had a lot of interest. All right, so I guess he's
No, he
got
says,
one.
I'm just kidding. There was only one candidate. Is the next line? Is that what it said?
Oh, you're right. Well, one is good. Okay. Well, many thanks to Mikhail from Belgium. Yeah, you're right. Just kidding. There's only one candidate. Okay. All right. That one I think is in good shape then. Bonita from South Dakota. The Biochem Club local enable chapter trying to make a hand Phoenix V2 144%. We've needed to increase the height depth of the palm because of what is left of the injured hand is quite thick. When I assembled the hand, the bending of the wrist does not cause the fingers to bend all the way. Well, that's probably because things have been scaled in a nonlinear fashion, so
Yep.
holes are no longer round and stuff like that. Strange things start to happen when you do nonlinear scaling. Um, do we currently have any options for like a parametric version of the Phoenix that you know of, Ian?
Not that I know of.
Yeah,
I would recommend trying Rhino because you can get a pretty good free trial, and we've been able to drape and skew meshes pretty quickly with it.
really? Okay. Um, that's not something I'm familiar with, but might
With
be
these
an
locked
option.
files, if you're just getting a mesh file, not a parametric CAD file, it's been a pretty quick learning curve, and you can start from a free trial just for this one off.
Okay. All right. There's also a good recommendation here from Sandra that they use the version of the Palm without the mesh.
No, there you go.
And then you could use some kind of a covering that would give you more space. They're showing one with looks like leather here, which is nice. Um, so that's another good idea. I did figure out why the finger joint does not move, but I increased the depth vertical distance of the palm. The first joint of the finger catches on the connection of the palm. I like your fix better than mine. Okay, so she's happy with that solution. I think Benita's in good shape. Let's see what else we have here. Hi, John.
Hello.
Ashton, wrist extension and radial deviation. If a client that I cannot help due to the complexity of their request, patient has wrist extension and radial deviation, but is not able to flex or grip their fingers. I'm looking for a device they could wear that when their wrist extends and ulnarily deviates, would have palmar side cables that would pull the fingers into flexion. Wow, that is tricky. I don't even know all the terminology, so I'm not sure I can follow. Um, There's somebody saying here that it sounds like a club hand that you can search and find lots of information. If you can post a picture, it's easier to help. Normally, these deformities need operative care in order to gain function. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any other ideas of how to approach that. It definitely sounds like a custom type of device. I think we're gonna have to leave it at that, and hopefully somebody will come along through the hub that has the skills necessary to help with that.
Yep.
Anyone else have any suggestions? No? Okay, I'm gonna move on. Yuncio translation. Currently in the progress of translating e-NABLE's code of conduct to a variety of different languages. Oh yes, this is Kimmy. Okay. I'm trying to keep up, but small help from several volunteers will definitely be appreciated. Okay, so she's got a whole bunch of languages going here that need review. Would welcome any other languages. There are no working drafts for languages other than the listed ones above. You would need to be responsible for coming up with your own and submitting it. Okay, so she's basically inviting people to join in on this little project, which is great. And it looks like somebody filled out the form to help with the Indonesian language. They connected by email. Sandra also offered to help, it looks like. Excellent. Okay. So I don't know that this needs anything from us. It looks like Kimmy's building a nice little team here for translation, which is great.
It is
Thank
great.
you. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Xavier, CSS. I think the CSS for the calendar should be adjusted so that the writings do not show up in white on a clear cyan background. Yeah, okay. It's hard to read, huh? Okay. I wonder if Masvi could help us with this.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't meet accessibility text guidelines.
All right, let's see what Masvi says about that. And on we go.
You know what Matthew's going to say. He's going to say, dog shit, hum hubba. All right, I'll get to it.
Yeah, well, all we can do is ask. Mickle Thumb, part of a chapter in Winnipeg, designing a prosthetic that will allow usage of the user's own thumb. Well, that's always been a key sort of a challenge. Hoping to simply remove the thumb part from the model, preferably with Phoenix 3, but any wrist actuated design works. We're thinking of doing something like this. Yeah, people have tried this before, and it's just the device ends up sort of interfering.
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, that looks
Looks pretty good.
like a nice cutaway. Yeah. I like how they cut in more than what I've seen others do, which is nice, so it doesn't interfere as much. Okay, so is this something that's been shared? Looks like you're in Scotland. Eric Bubar is traveling through Scotland right now. Huh. He's suggesting the kinetic hand, which has a thumbless palm already designed. It also has superior aesthetics, better finger positioning. Let's see, is there a picture of the thumbless kinetic? That's the regular kinetic. I guess
Is it in the files? Do they have one?
it's in the files. Yeah, I know they do have one. I'm just wondering if they show a picture of it. I don't think they do here, but yeah, I know they do have a thumbless. It's part of the zip file, so we'd have
Yeah.
to download it to see it. But they do. He's right. They have a thumbless version. I've never tried it, so I don't know how that would compare. But it's a good idea. They're going to look into that. This guy, Xavier, is saying that he printed a thumbless Phoenix, which is this one. I think this is more kind of what I've seen before, and it did seem like there was some interference with the thumb. I kind of liked the look of that other one better that we saw, but I don't know if that's been, I wonder if this has been shared.
Can you go through the three pictures there?
The
It
oh,
looks like there's
these?
three at the top. It looks like there's a, you can click the
Oh,
arrow.
yes, you're
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Maybe there's a close-up.
Little video.
Where is this located?
This says University of Glasgow.
Huh.
Oh, here, hold on. Oh, no, that's crowdfunding
yeah.
link. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any indication that this has been shared, but that would be a nice one to have in our collection.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, what's your situation? I remember you had something going on this week. Are you in a position that you might be able to help reach out to these folks and see if they'd be open to sharing their design?
Yeah, I can reach out to them. Can
Or maybe they already
can
have, I don't know. But it's this Instagram link
okay.
that we're looking at. I can send that to you here in the chat if that helps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have Instagrams. I mean, I can't use Instagram. I used to have an account. I hadn't used it in a year. And I
I'm not
tried
sure
to
if you
log
need
in.
I'm not sure if you need an account just
Yeah,
to view a
okay.
post. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but
Okay. Well,
I
I'm just
can't
gonna
I can't reach anyone on Instagram.
Okay,
I don't.
let us know if you have a problem. And in any
Okay.
case, there, I think I have access to an Instagram account. We should have an enable Instagram account that you can log into as that.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can do, but there's a couple of good ideas floating around in there. Next up, we have Enoch, Zambia, a newbie. Have been working with 3D printers for a while now, run an NGO called EC2 Digital School, which visits villages every 6 months to provide digital school materials via offline e-learning system. Been asked about the inclusiveness of those with disabilities and those who are blind. I found that using a 3D printer can greatly support school kids and adults as well. So in August, he's heading to Lusaka, Zambia to host a workshop with a hospital and showcase the manufacturing of prosthetic devices using a 3D printer. Already purchased 2 printers and a Creality ferret scanner. Question is, can I get some kind of support from e-NABLE in hosting, teaching, and creating a chapter in that region? Okay. Well,
In
country has only 3
principle,
personnel.
yes. In
Yeah,
practice, it would be a gradual process.
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
You know,
unfortunately,
if we could add them to come to the education meeting, that might be a good place. We could share some like lesson plan type stuff.
okay, that's a good idea. Sarah, you already commented saying that we discussed this in the town hall. Can I ask you to post another comment there, inviting them to the educational meetup for further discussion?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Okay, I agree that that's a good place to start. I think having some direct communication would be helpful there to get that figured out. So on we go, so we can get into the rest of our agenda. Rion, Handathon. Thinking of hosting a handathon in my city. Does e-NABLE still support these? Same answer. In theory, yes. The form says to send completed hands to the living classroom. Yeah. So that's the part where we fall down a little bit. We don't really
So,
have an active collection point right now, which is something we
and
should talk about again at some point.
nearer term, can we fix that form?
Fix the forum. Oh, fix the where, well, I don't even know where that is. We have to find it. It says the forum says to send completed hands. So we'd have to find, I don't even know where that is. That's the problem with the hub is things get kind of lost. So yes, we should update that, but I don't even know where that is. We have to find it first.
How about just so we need a comment. The comment should say, at present, we do not actually have a collection point. That must be an old link. Where did you find it?
Yeah. Do you mind helping us out there too, Sarah?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to slow us down, so I'll let you post that. But yeah, let me know if he tells us where he found that link and we can try to fix that. But unfortunately, no, we don't really have an active collection point for hands right now, and we have not been successful in the past. Even when we were collecting them, we weren't very successful in getting them into the hands of people that actually could use them. It just seems like the vast majority of cases really need some degree of customization. They need to be sort of tailored to the user. So this idea of just making a bunch of devices in various scales and having them available just hasn't worked out well for us. That's not to say that there's not some way to make that work better, but we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, from what I've seen, the best use for just some generic hands are demos to help a site get started. They're more like the menu or a way to get sponsorship.
Yeah. So that's another thing you could think about is, do the handathon, just keep the hands as demo hands or distribute them to, I don't know if this is part of it doesn't say if this is part of a school, but, give them to other teachers to have as demo hands, things like that.
And then the handathon becomes one of each rather than 20 of one, like trying all the different models.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to leave it at that. I'm afraid I don't know what else to recommend there right now. Jessica from San Francisco. Whoops, I clicked on the wrong one. Jessica says, came across an article about a Princeton student organizing a volunteer day where people are putting together 3D printed pieces of prosthetics. Okay. Works in a large tech company, and we have a big event in September in San Francisco. Is this the same one that you were contacted about, John, do you think? Is this, oh yeah, salesforce.com, it is.
That's correct. So
All right,
just a
so
little
what do you,
background on that.
yeah,
We were approached by Salesforce. They have an event coming up, I think in August, which is soon. They wanted to do a employee volunteer activity like a handathon,
September,
which we've
John.
done in the past in a number of venues. But it turns out it's a big production. And under this short notice and in our current state, given that the rationale for handathons, as we've just discussed, is a little less clear, I'm inclined to say thanks, but we can't support this right now.
So yeah, and it's September, not August, but it is in
Fair
San
enough.
Francisco. I know I'm not in a position to get to San Francisco in September.
Are there any
Now,
other open
let me
source
say,
assistive? Yeah.
if someone really was excited about the big job of doing it, we have, negotiated this kind of an activity in the past. We've had a budget of $10,000 to $15,000, which is what it takes by the time you do travel and making sure that people are compensated for their time and so on. I wouldn't rule it out, but unless Ian, for example, wants to say, "Hey, I'd like to devote some weeks of my life to getting this organized," I would decline.
So for me, the barrier is recipients, like we were talking about. Like I don't
That's right.
want to make a bunch of generic hands that don't go to people. And it makes me like the question I would ask them is it they interested in 3D printing and something hands-on and fabricating and building things? Are there other open source assistive tech problems that do have collection points today? Makes me think about like, are they still doing the stints or the tourniquets for any conflict zones? Because so much of the physiology, the occupational therapy task is so bespoke.
That's right.
Is there a
That's
more
right.
generic item that could go to a collection point?
Well, you're
I
right.
think
The
what
only
they
problem
want,
with that,
though,
Ian, the problem is that most of those assistive devices, other than the prosthetics, are just print and mail. There's no
Right.
assembly.
There's
So I
no,
don't know how interesting that would be for an event
yeah.
like this.
Ian, you're welcome to explore it. But I think we've identified the reasons why it's probably not going to fly.
This could be another one where probably not going to fly, but if you want to talk, come to the education meetup. We've seen a bunch of different types of things like this we're happy to talk about.
So,
Well, she's
Ian,
saying
let me invite you to respond to this then.
Okay.
And you become the point person. And there's no pressure to do it or to turn it down. I would just suggest that you be very careful about what you get into, because you're going to be carrying the burden of it.
She is saying here that she needs to try to get some clarity by the end of the week, which is today. So if you could post something with whatever your thoughts are, then
Yep.
okay. On we go then. Three more. Rion, exercise. Has anyone had experience with building prosthetics for working out? Something similar to this. Oops, get away here. All right. Where'd it go? Oh, another ad. I love you, internet. Can we get the picture prosthetic back?
There you go.
Okay. This is ridiculous. Well, with the 1 second we're able to see it. Anyone recognize that device?
No, I get the point. It's a good idea. I think the answer is we have not done that to our knowledge.
Yeah, he's wondering if it'd be better to just rely on companies specializing in these types of devices. You're definitely going to need something very robust, and that was the first thing that came to mind for me is that
Right.
something 3D printed might not be ideal for the kind of stresses this is going to be under.
I agree. And frankly, if they're selling a product, they also have liability insurance. And if you drop a weight on your foot, someone's going to get hurt. So I think
Yeah.
his instinct is correct.
All right. Proceed with caution, but yeah, probably want to explore some of those professional solutions for that. All right. Carol, Bird. Looking for prosthetic leg braces for a 6-week-old baby bird who
Oof.
was born with splayed legs. Made a brace for him using a rubber band and a straw, which he had on for 2 weeks, and it has not helped him. Now avian vets are telling me to euthanize. I would like him to have leg supports to allow him to eat. Okay. Like something that is tubular in shape and clamps around the bird's length of his leg to support his body. Well, definitely something custom here.
What kind of bird?
It doesn't say.
Huh.
Chick splint and splayed leg spacer pack. Interesting.
You know, our German friend who did work with the eagle in the zoo was working on an avian leg. So you can at least put him in touch with that person.
Who was that?
Uh, I don't remember, but I'll bet we can find it if we search for eagle in the macroscope.
Okay. We'll take a quick look. You have to wait for it to load. Okay. Eagle.
And Germany.
That actually increased. It must be doing an either or search.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's just go back to just Eagle. J. David, Alex, Jordan, Bob Rieger, Evan, Scott, Anthony.
Uh, I would imagine the other thing is we have a space in the hub for animal prosthetics. And I would hope that he would be mentioned there.
Yeah, I don't think this ever got used too much.
I
Yeah.
can find it in my email if Sarah, you pop me an email.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. Goose.
Hmm.
Hey,
That's a
Bob.
bird.
I know who you're talking about, John, but I need to see his name to remember it, and I'm not seeing it here. All right, well, we'll have to do some further looking. But if we can find who that was, that might be a good place to start. I'm not seeing anything here. It's that original post. Whoops. Do that. Okay, yeah, I don't, it just says a baby bird, which makes it sound like a smaller bird, but it doesn't say what type.
Yeah, and you know, for a baby bird, I would question whether 3D printing is the right solution. You want something really light and conformant. I would suggest paper mache.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure I have any other ideas here. I think we're gonna have to leave this in the hands of our fellow hub members, see if anyone else suggests something. All right, on we go. Giuseppe, completed hand. Finally managed to finish my first prosthetic hand. I think this is wonderful to be able to help other people. Well, congratulations, Giuseppe. Looks like you did more than one. Very nice. All right, so I see that looks like a raptor there. That's a raptor also. That one's a phoenix. And that's another phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. So doing a couple of different designs. Looks nice. Okay, I don't think that one needs anything from us. Hopefully he's going to submit for the badges for that. And that gets us through our posts. Okay, well, we had to catch up on 2 weeks of posts there, or 2 meetings worth of posts there. So on we go. Our e-NABLE fund is sitting pretty, oh yeah, Sarah?
I'm sorry. It says special guests and presentations. I have something that
What's that?
if it's okay. So there is an organization called Day Undefined. I'll drop a link in the chat. And I've written some product reviews and blogs for them, but they have a team of disabled contributors, and they review sort of everyday travel or household or kitchen products from Amazon or other well-known companies like OXO, and things that aren't marketed to disabled users, but make things easier for disabled users. And they recently sent out a newsletter advertising state assistive technology programs, and they're interested, I think, in taking some of the feedback that people have given about everyday items and what works and what is difficult, and trying to kind of create new products. So if e-NABLE is interested, they could present at a town hall and see if there is any opportunity for
Yeah, that would be
collaboration.
great. Because a lot of
Okay.
these are things that could be 3D printed too, to give them some alternatives.
That
You
sounds
know,
great.
bottle openers,
Um,
stuff like that. Yeah, so I definitely think that it would be great to have them come and talk to us and see where the discussion goes. You want to talk to them about that, Sarah?
yeah, is there a specific town hall that
No, whatever works for
be
them.
good
Just,
to invite them to? Okay.
we're doing them first and third Fridays, so any of those that work for
Okay.
them, we don't have any special guests lined up right now.
Okay.
All right, great. Yeah, interesting organization. Our e-NABLE fund is standing pretty much untouched, right around 97 grand still. We've got our recurring meetings here. The next one coming up is Monday with the healthcare meeting. See the calendar in the hub for the others. Okay, getting into our regular topics here. We owed a 6-month report to Aero Electronics, which I think you took care of, right, John?
I did. I have a very nice discussion. She was quite happy to hear about all the wonderful things we're planning. It
Okay.
was a little embarrassing to report that we had 2 proposals that had almost but not quite passed. And
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about that
Yeah.
today, now, if you like.
Um, yeah, well, how about this? Let's go through a few of these other items here and get
Sure.
updates, and then we'll talk about all of those funding initiatives. So let's talk about the big map first. How's that going?
It's going fine. I'm prepared to turn on my proposal for voting.
Okay.
But as I have just previewed, I think we want to discuss the three proposals that are likely to pass at the same time.
Sounds good. All right, we already talked about Salesforce. I think we've got a resolution on that, so I'm going to remove that topic.
I've put a comment in, so hopefully we get in dialogue.
Excellent, thank you. So we are working, one of these initiatives that we have going on is the e-NABLE website and matching platform. That project is in progress. It's moving a little bit slower, I think, than I had hoped, but it is moving. The developers ran into some difficulties because of things missing from the code, or things that, information that we didn't have, which was making it difficult to get the code to actually work the way it's supposed to, but they did manage to work through those things. We tried to reach out to Thierry, but he has pretty limited access to the previous developers. But the guys on our team were able to work through those issues. So they do have a development copy of the site up and running now locally. It's working. We've been working on redeveloping the forms, the registration forms, the device request forms, changing some of the content over to make it less e-NABLE France specific. They're setting up a database, working on that database design right now. So things are moving forward. Morgan was going to work on sort of doing an update on hours and kind of where we're at in terms of percentage of the budget consumed versus how far along we are, but we think we're pretty well on track so far. So nothing much else to report other than that it is making progress, but we're still a ways from the finish line. My gut tells me we're probably still at least a month, if not 2 months away from having that fully, up and running and functional. But we are meeting weekly, and there is progress being made. So
I
that's what I
appreciate
can
all that
report.
work, Jeremy.
Yeah.
This happens.
Another project that's going on is the chapter audit. Sarah, any updates there?
Yeah, so we're now at 52 active chapters. My estimate is still the same. I think the last time I updated you, I had 48 active chapters and guessed that there were probably around 70. So this is 52 responses. My guess is still that there are probably around 70, maybe 60. I know just with new chapters too, I know that there are some that have been waiting a while for to appear on the map. So one in Singapore and one in Taiwan, I know that uh, are active and wondering when they will be able to see themselves on the map.
All right. Unfortunately, I don't know that the other guys that I've trained are really comfortable with that process. It's a very sort of non-intuitive process for getting people on the map. Oh, good timing. Jonathan's here. Hi, Jonathan. You there, Jonathan? Maybe he's not able to talk. Yeah, most of these badge approval things are pretty straightforward, but when somebody submits one for a chapter, there's several, you have to go to their Facebook page and grab their logo, and you have to upload that logo via FTP to a particular server and then put that link into a spreadsheet. It's a very non-intuitive kind of a process. I would love it if we could figure out a way to make that easier. Yeah, John.
Well, so you recall that in my naive enthusiasm, I proposed that we replace the chapter map with the a panel on the new project, Big Map to
Right.
Enable the Future. Masvi said, we have and he's right, we have a perfectly good chapter map. He
Right.
also built the process by which chapters go on board.
Right.
I think it might make sense to ask Masvi if we were to give him a list of the chapters that should be kept, a list of the chapters that should be removed, and a list of the chapters which we are prepared to have added to the map, the new ones that Sarah just mentioned. Let him do it. And if he finds it ungainly, he'll fix it. And if he has a shortcut, he'll use it. And if he doesn't, we should reconsider, because it is a choke point.
Well, I don't think he's gonna do that. I mean, that's not really it's never been his role. He does development stuff, so I don't think he's going to go in and do the administrative work of activating these chapters. I can ask him if we can make changes to the procedure to make this a little easier so that we're not relying on these multiple steps. But um, I think that would be the way to approach it with him, is just to see if we can streamline the process to make it easier for those of us who are doing it.
Um, I could go either way, but
Okay.
if the process he developed is a bottleneck, then it's time to address it.
All right, well, why don't I reach out to him separately and ask if we can revisit that and see if we can make it easier to get chapters onboarded without having to mess around with FTP and other steps outside of that spreadsheet.
Right. And Sarah, thank you for the audit. I think we've learned a lot. I think it's time to produce the list that I just mentioned,
Yeah,
and to
so
email all of the chapters who are about to be dropped saying this is your last chance.
yes. So I can do that. I've also I haven't heard back from people on Facebook Messenger either, who didn't respond on email and wasn't expecting to. But I can do the email and say, like, this is your last chance. How long should I wait for a response to that before we
Um,
officially drop them?
well, I think you can make your lists, and when we are prepared to actually flip the switch, we'll do it. So you don't have to say when the drop dead date is. You just say
Okay.
we are now producing our final list. You are not going to be on it unless we hear from you soon.
Okay. I can
All
do
right,
that.
and I'll reach out to Masby and see what we can do on the chapter onboarding process. Otherwise, I will try to find time in the coming days to get in there and take care of the ones that have been waiting. I think I'm the only one doing it right now, and
Hey,
it's
hey,
a little
Jeremy.
time consuming.
Hey, I joined late. Sorry about that.
Hey,
I'm
Jonathan.
not aware of any that are pending. Um, and if pending Mansby's process review, I could make some work instruction type things too uh, to manage that stuff too.
Yeah, I guess I closed my spreadsheet down, but Sarah was under the impression that there were a couple waiting. Let's just peek in here and see.
Um,
Yes, it looks like e-NABLE, Bruley, Australia.
Singapore and Taiwan are also waiting.
Well, I don't see them in here, so I don't think they've submitted the form that they need to
Okay.
submit.
Is
they
it
may have
possible too? Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was going to say it may be that they submitted the form or they thought they submitted the form. So, but I think that we know from their hub posts or emails that they're stuck in limbo. So, Sarah, figure out where you heard about Singapore and the other one. And
Well, I mean, I know where I mean, I heard from them directly that they're not.
there you go. Okay. So we'll forward that to Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing any badge requests in here for chapters that haven't been
Wait,
handled.
wait, can you hold on? Let me um check. So for I thought I just saw the name listed. It's e-NABLE Taiwan chapter, and the name is Ruize Cheng. I thought I just saw that. Um,
I don't see that in here. Oh, Rui's here. He did a badge for e-NABLE community supporter,
okay.
but I don't see one for chapter.
Okay.
I don't know if I can.
And then there's also in
Yeah, that's the only.
Singapore, the name is SAAD, SAAD, and the Okay,
Got no badges for sod.
okay,
So, yeah, they need to basically follow the instructions on the chapters page down below here. They
okay,
have to, they have to get their device badge first, which it doesn't look like either one of them is done. They have to get a device specific badge. Then they have to fill out the intake form with all the details about their chapter and then request the chapter badge.
So let's just review. Whose job is it to handhold them through that process? Okay, well, that's
And
all
holding
right.
is not something we've done very well in recent,
This is another
Okay.
argument for board level governance.
yes,
What,
it
what does
is. I
that
mean, I
mean?
think,
Having a board structure of people with official roles and official responsibilities.
Well, we have, for example, Sarah has certain responsibilities that we know what Jeremy does, but I think this is one where we should either get a volunteer or figure out how to pay someone just to unclog this process. Jonathan, thank you. I saw you step up. Be careful what you say, but um,
well, I think
are
we have, I mean, we're talking about two chapters right now. So why don't just to deal with the immediate issue, Sarah, why don't you reach out to both of them,
yeah,
refer them.
I mean, I know that there have been, like, I didn't know what their issue was and why they weren't
Well, just
listed.
refer them
I
to
didn't
this,
know that there
send
was
them this
something that
link.
they hadn't done, so,
Just send them this link, ask them to look
yeah,
at these instructions and let us know if they have questions, but these are the instructions. They have to follow these steps here.
okay.
Okay. All right, on we go. I don't think we need to talk about the state assistive technology programs right now. We don't have Adam, and I'm not aware of any updates on that unless you guys have anything. So, Ian, where did we leave off with this intern program that you had talked about?
So you're on my list, and John is my point of contact, and I will reach out in the next 2 weeks with a entry form, which is sort of like the big problems that they might be interested in. And then I will have students arriving in late August that will try to pair you with at least one. You will get at least one.
Okay. Sounds good. Look
So I
forward
think
to
for e-NABLE side, and it's for the whole team to think about, is like what challenges would be scoped appropriately for someone to work on as a board fellow from September through May.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
those interns, are those the interns who would be paid, Ian?
No, this is for credit. This is a credit bearing course.
Got it.
They would
Okay.
come to these, so they usually come to board meetings. This is an analogous organizational structure. So they'd come to this
Sure.
meeting probably, or maybe like all of the meetings on the calendar, or most of them, something like that.
Got it.
Okay, so now here we go with our list of funded initiatives that we need to talk about. The first two on here were already successfully approved. We had $1,000 that went into the initial discovery phase for the big map. That was done. They've moved on and are getting ready for the next phase pending John's proposal. So that one is sort of taken care of. The next one was the website matching platform. I gave you an update on that earlier. As far as I know, we are still on track with budget and scope. So that one is just a matter of, finishing the work. But then we had two other proposals that did not make it through the voting process recently. One was the outreach coordinator. And what was the other one, John?
It was Ian's
So, and I
project.
got confused because it passed unanimously with 17 votes, but that's not the funding barrier. We're 3 short of 20 to actually get the money.
Oh, right. Okay. So, and this is where it gets tricky because that's clearly not really an issue of support. It was an issue of sort of how we marketed the proposal and just getting enough eyes on it, which is unfortunate.
So I think we have a decision. We can simply restart the vote and do a better job of promoting. Or, given that it was near unanimous for both of those, they just didn't meet the participation threshold. I think we reopen it, allowing the existing votes to stand.
Yeah.
And we put out a bulletin.
I think that's the way to go. I think we should reopen them. And
I agree with that.
we might even consider in the future that I don't think we need to get into this now, but it seems to me that if you maybe we have 20 votes minimum as a requirement to, for a vote to pass automatically, but maybe if it's a lower, if it's between 15 and 20 votes, maybe this committee here gets to make a call on it. I mean, if you got 15 people unanimously saying yes, it probably should be funded, even if we didn't have enough people looking at it. But we can save that discussion for other time. For right now, I think yes, reopening both votes is the way to go. But I think we can only really we can only do that once before people are going to start to accuse us of trying to manipulate the system. So if we do reopen them, we need to really we need to promote them and get
Yeah.
people to go and vote.
I agree,
Well,
Jeremy. I think maybe like a paragraph at the end being like, if it's over 95% acceptance, it goes to a town hall vote.
Yeah, something like that. John?
So that resolution itself would require a vote.
Exactly.
And I don't think we want to add another.
Let's not
Well,
complicate it now. Yeah.
we might. However, here's what I do think we should do. I think we should do a slight publicity campaign in which we enumerate this situation, that there are two that need help pushing over the top. There's one that needs a full vote, a reminder that what our criteria are, and urging people to vote their conscience up or down, but to vote. We have the money, we have the initiatives, and we're trying. And I will write this message with your permission, and then I think it should go out by email and into the hub and into perhaps the relevant Facebook
It should be a pin post on the hub, John. I just removed
That's
a
right.
couple of the older pin posts, so you can put a new one up there. I would suggest, John, I don't think anyone but us, you and I being admins on Lumio, I think we're the only ones that can actually go in and reactivate the vote. So I would suggest that you do that first. Go ahead and extend the voting
Sure.
on both of those. Then go ahead and do the post on the hub and link to them.
Okay, I will do that.
I think that's a good idea. And I have little doubt that they will pass. It's certainly not an issue of support. I just don't think we have enough participation right now in Lumio.
Right.
Okay.
And by the way, with regard to this constitutional issue, about whether we should have the ability to override the process, if we set the criterion to 15, I think, one of the features of a democracy is that people don't do anything if they think it's taken care of. So
Yeah.
I think whatever threshold we set, people are going to sort of adjust to that threshold, and we're always going to be close. I think the real answer is just to jump up and down and make sure that they need to participate in order to perpetuate our system, which I think works pretty well. When
Well,
we
maybe this is maybe the policy change we should be proposing is simply what we're doing now, that if a voting reaches the end of its voting period and it has more than, whatever, 95% support, but it just doesn't have sufficient number of votes, then we have the option of extending the voting. I mean, maybe that's what we put into, the policy.
Okay, so I agree. I think that's better. And then the question is, do you want to throw that in as a fourth item for them to vote? What I want to do is make it really easy. So, so there are 4 things we would like your opinion on. Please click 4 links, bang, 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 and vote up or down.
We could. I'm going to be honest. I mean, what we're talking about here with this policy change really doesn't even feel so significant to me that we need a vote on it. I mean, we already have a documented process here in terms of the voting process and requirements for passing votes and everything like that. I mean, if we were just to add a line in here saying that, if voting ends with, 90% or better, agreement, but insufficient number of votes, we have the option of extending the voting. Do you think anybody's going to object to that? I mean, do you think this is?
No, I think that's a good idea. Go ahead and do that. I will mention that adjustment in my email in order to rationalize what's going on. If people do have objections, we'll certainly take them into consideration. But for the moment, we're doing it. and we are doing it because we believe we have implicit support for doing it.
Sounds good. So I will make that change in here right after we wrap up here, and
Good.
then we can vote on those other, get those other proposals reactivated and voted. I think that's a good approach. Okay. Sarah, where did we end up on this 1 to 2 page e-NABLE overview document we had talked about?
I have a kind of like a proposal draft.
Oh, good.
So
So that needs to go up for discussion first before voting then.
right.
Okay.
So it would be a 2-page issue brief that could be printed front to back and displayed on the website that will provide an overview of e-NABLE's background, mission, and purpose, accomplishments, and I think 2 chapter and story highlights, an impact overview and future directions for
Nice.
recruitment, grant writing, and fundraising. So I have kind of listed all of the steps that would go into it, and it would include, interviewing and information gathering, writing, and photos. It would
Excellent.
not include graphic design and layout, but it would include me collaborating and working with potentially a graphic designer to like decide how things are
Well, I
laid
think
out.
I think it's going to be important to include that in the proposal. So you're going to be requesting a certain amount of funding. I think it's important that we include the money that's going to be needed for the graphic design work, so that when the
Right.
community votes, they're voting to what will get them a finished,
Okay.
a finished product.
In that case, I would have to like talk to a graphic designer or uh investigate and see if there's like an easy program or software that I can purchase where I could, drop things in and it would do
Yep.
all of the layout work for me, but that would probably be an additional cost of software, and I don't know what that is yet. So
Does Jeremy, does Morgan do that kind of work?
I don't know. I don't think I've heard her talk about any kind of graphic design work, no.
Okay.
I mean, I would say we could just look at something like Fiverr. You can probably find somebody pretty affordable to do that kind of a project and get an estimate from them up front if you describe the scope of work.
okay.
And I know a good designer also. So Sarah, if you create the description of what would need to be done, we can go
Okay.
to Fiverr and the person I know for estimates, and that'll roll it together.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, I don't think, oh yeah, the device catalog, Ian, how's that going? And is that tied in with the intern that you're talking about, or is that separate?
Yeah, that would be the NIH 3D proposal. So that's
Okay.
waiting for approval.
Meaning it's in voting right now?
Right,
It's
that's
one
the
of the
one that got
ones we're about to
17. Yep.
revise.
Oh, okay, that's the one that's going to be extended. Okay, very good. Well, hopefully we can get that back active. And then I think the rest of these topics are a little dated, so I don't think we need to go into these, but we're at time anyway. So let me just ask if anyone else has anything to discuss. Okay. Well, that was productive. We got some good action items. And I will reach out to Masvi about the chapter issue that we talked about and do that update on Lumio.
And
Thank you,
Sarah,
guys.
you will start compiling organized lists that Masvi or someone else can act on.
Yeah.
And I'll do the resurrection of the various proposals.
Very good. Thanks all.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.